Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Get It, Got It Good. I am your host, Naja Wilhite-Carter, and today I'm really excited because I have another prominent figure in my home area, Howard County, Maryland, Mae Beale, who is a community volunteer and activist. You guys, this woman does it all. So today we'll get into some of the things that she has done and seen over her lifetime, and also how it relates to the things that are going on in today's society and environments. But before we get started, you guys, I definitely want to take a moment to shout out my sponsors, which of course you'll see in the credits, you guys. Speaking of which, at the end of every show now, we are shouting out not only our sponsors, but also any musical guests that we spotlight, anybody's artistry that we spotlight in any way, and we'll also tag where you can find them and follow them. So if you like anything or if you have any questions, definitely look at the credits, and then you'll see all of the information put there. But you guys, I like to thank Dance Solutions Youth Outreach, One Man Sharpens Another, Maryland Prep Academy, Mission Dance Works, Nail Fetish, and of course my networks, WBGR Network, as well as Total Entertainment Radio. So you guys, before we get started, I had to take a brief break for these commercials. Okay, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Research suggests that close to 50% of all small businesses go out of business in their first 2 years. Don't let that be you. Join That's My Network LLC today. Here at That's My Network, we strive to help businesses build their brand by offering connections to multiple marketing streams, including promotion across a social media platform that has a growing following of 50,000 nationwide. Let us help build and develop your brand to reach its full potential. For more information, email that'smynetwork@gmail.com. That's My Network, a network that works for you.
Welcome back, you guys. So I'm really excited about this. Hi, Mae Beale. I am so excited to have you. It's been a while. I've been asking for a second, but I'm glad our schedules finally matched up. Would you like to say good morning or good afternoon?
Good afternoon, everyone. And it is my pleasure to be here this afternoon to talk with I like to call her my friend, but a community activist as well, just to tell her a little something about me or just to answer her questions.
Indeed. So, Miss Beale, let me ask you, you live in Howard County. Are you from Howard County originally?
Originally, I'm from Washington, D.C. I was raised there, but I moved to Columbia, Maryland, Howard County in 1971 because I was trying to find a place to live, and we were going to the different communities in and up around the metropolitan area. So I had a dear friend of mine that worked with me at the Department of Health and Human Services in DC, and he was talking about this town that he was so emphatic about, Columbia, Maryland, Howard County. Every day when he come to work, he would always share all the niceties that this community had to offer. He was saying it was a brand new place, and he said it was a place he thought I would like.
And a lot of people don't know, but Columbia is a planned community. The Rouse Company did it, and it was built to bring people from all over the country that can live together in harmony in an interracial type of manner. You know, whites, blacks, Asians.
Yes.
And it was planned that way, and it was planned around villages, right?
Yeah, I'm finding I was just so fortunate to purchase my home. When I did, I purchased one, then I sold that one and purchased another one. But I will say this, and I'm saying it kindly, if I hadn't bought my houses when I did, I don't think I could afford to live here.
Okay, so we definitely had block parties and everything, and the community would come out. And you like that about Howard County. So is that how you then got into volunteering on different boards? Like, what was the first thing that you got into in Howard County as far as, you know, organizations and community involvement?
Well, the first thing I got into was something called the Homemakers Club. And that was a group of women, and we would get together and do crafts. and we would meet, do crafts, and we would have something called those progressive dinners where we would go from one house to another. Some person started with the appetizer, then someone had the entree, then someone had the dessert. And that was really a fun group of women. We would meet and we would do stuff like knitting and sewing and crocheting and all those kinds of things. And that was a way to get to know some of your neighbors as well, because many of my neighbors were in that group and they invited me to join. And of course, and I did. And the thing about it, you know, what I liked about it, the majority of them were of the persuasion. I was the only African American in the group. But I tell you, the thing that I was so impressed about it, I never felt that way, because my parents, they never taught us color. They taught us people. And they said, treat people like you want to be treated, and you won't have a problem. And that has been my mantra. That's what I try to do. I try to really treat people like I really, really want to be treated. And many times I put myself in their place instead of my place. And the reason I say that, because many times when we are not doing our best, or if things are not going as well as we think they should go, and I used to tell my son, because one time he had to go away to a camp, and he came and said, Mom, he said, you know, the kids had their clothes in a trash bag, or they didn't have tennis shoes or something. And he said, well, why don't they have shoes and stuff like I do? Because he didn't know, he was young. I said, Terrence, what you got to understand in life, you were blessed. And there are sometimes their parents may not have had the opportunities that your father and I had. And sometimes I think that many reasons why we don't do as well, because the doors are not always necessarily open. And we sometimes we spend our lifetime trying to be validated. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what I found, and my parents taught us, because my grandmother lived to be 104, and I quote her every day of my life, because she was so wise, and she would tell us things like, you give yourself your best report card, that every lesson doesn't have to be a bought lesson. And, treat yourself well. Don't wait for anyone to validate you. And one of the things she would always tell us, you're responsible for your own happiness. You can't wait for somebody else to bring you happiness. That they could be icing on the cake, she would say, but you do like playing. And I thought those were so emphatic. They were old sayings, but as I got older, they made sense. And one of the things that I always have structured my life by, she said, don't let every lesson be a bought lesson. She said, you ought to be to learn many life challenges and things by observation. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, you've heard the old saying, well, he need to learn, let him experience. And she would always tell us, you can't always do that, because some of those bad experiences that we think we learning from, sometimes you can't get out of them. I mean, So we have to be careful when we are telling people what we think they should do, or how the road that we have traveled, because everybody don't travel the same road. And she always used to say, don't ever judge anyone if you haven't had an opportunity to walk in their shoes. And I remember those things, and it has helped me to try to be a better person, or at least a decent person. And sometimes I've been disappointed and disenchanted, because I think some people take kindness for weakness, and they don't understand that you're just being a decent person because that's who you are. You have to be who you are.
Indeed. And a lot of times people will say you got to harden up, you got to be mean to survive in this environment. And I say that's not true. I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and let God handle the rest.
But you said something key, and I had that conversation not too long ago. And everybody always say, well, Mae, you're the same person that I met 20 or 30 years ago. They say, but you look the same. what are you doing? I said, the only thing that I know to do every morning when I wake up, I always thank God for another day. And I said, thank you for this gift of life, you know. And I always ask him to lead me, guide me, and order my steps. I said, because you know how Mae is, she wanted to do this and be this and all, but I need guidance. And I always depend on my biblical training, going to church and Sunday school, and the things I've learned in those arenas that have helped me throughout life. But one of the things that you hit on, you're who you are. And I never forget, I took a class a while back, and it was like a speech class. And we had to pick people in the world that we would want to be like. And everybody was looking at all these important people, you know. And I agonized over that because I looked at them, they had a lot of great people to choose from. So when it came to me, and I had to give my speech, and they asked me who would I want to be. And I was a little hesitant, but I said, if I had to come back again and choose someone to be, I would choose Mae Beale one more time. And you could hear the hush. And so they start asking me questions. They say, well, why would you want to be Mae Beale one more time? I said, because I like her. I said, I know her better than anyone else that I could have chosen. I said, one of the things, I know what she likes, I know what she doesn't like, and I know her best. I said, but most importantly, she's kind, she's gentle, and she's a good person. And she has always been the kind of person that if she can't be part of the solution, she doesn't want to be the problem.
Well, that's awesome because most people don't know themselves, nevertheless like themselves. Most people don't know what they like and dislike. They don't want to be them. They always want to be somebody else. And it's because they see themselves as less than. So that goes back to you saying, give yourself the best report card. Know yourself. And I'm sure that's helped you a lot in all of your leadership roles, the sayings that you've learned and knowing who you are.
And one of the things that I have found out too, if you're going to be a leader, you can't lead by just dictating. You have to be a listener. You have to hear what the people you're hoping to lead want. And you have to work together as a team. Like there's not anything I would ask anyone that I had the opportunity to lead to do that I wouldn't do. If they're gonna be up all night, I'm gonna be up all night with them. Because one of the things that people want people that they trust, number one, and people that are good listeners, and people that really have their interests at heart. And I always would say, like if we have to make a decision, and if we have one person that don't agree, you know what I say? I said, we have to get something else. Because if the people don't have buy-in to what you are proposing to do, they're not going to do it. I said, they're not going to say anything now because they don't want to be the one that's rocking the boat. But you're not going to get buy-in. So you need to make certain, if you can, to come up with a solution or something that everyone has to buy. And you ask the question, send out a survey, say, what would you like? And I always ask them now, like every year, we have to come up with a plan for some of the kinds of things that we're going to be doing, for the year. And I would say, you tell me what you want. I know what I want, but you the ones going to have to be the ones to have buy-in or help me implement these things. So tell me what you want. I said, because I know if you tell me what you want, you're going to have buy-in. And that, and people don't understand that. They don't want a dictator. They don't want anybody, well, I'm the supervisor, I'm the leader of the pack, and you do what I say and all. They want a team player. Because if the team wins, everyone wins.
Everyone wins. And the biggest servant on the team is the leader, is the person in charge. But so I want to get into some of the things and some of the roles that you have played and also into this Leadership 2020. But we
Okay.
have to take a brief break right now. So you guys stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you for still being with us. We still, if you guys are just joining us, have the pleasure of talking to Miss Mae Beale, right? And you were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2016. What was that about?
Oh, that was one of the highlights of my life's journey. It's really a wonderful, wonderful, I think, accolade, or I would say it just speaks so much, because what it is an organization that brings people in that has really, really done things to serve the county. You know, different. Uh, they look at your volunteering. They look at your services to the community. They look at a myriad of things before they make a decision. And you have to, in addition, you have to have been involved with different organizations, and they have to write a nice little something about what they think you did, like recommendation letters to say, like, for example, I'm with the Southeastern Howard chapter of the Continental Societies Incorporated, which is a national organization. And we have partnerships with 6 of the area Howard County Public Schools, as well as other organizations in the county, where we implement programs in the areas of health, education, employment, arts and humanities, and recreation. So we work with the students, and we implement all kinds of programs and like that. I work with the Multi-Service Center, and we used to give backpacks to them. I, implemented that, and I and the things that I think that will help me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame was my desire, as I use that all the time, to make a great county better by my actions. And I would say, and I used to have a saying that says, perseverance, dedication, and hard work pays off.
Indeed,
That
it
was
does.
one of the things that I was proudest of.
See, now I know my family, not I, but my family came here when Columbia was just being built. My aunt Hilaria Cooper was one of the ones who started the assisted living homes in the county and helped a whole bunch of other people start
Mm-hmm.
their assisted living homes. And so when you said things like your first thing that you joined was the homemakers club with the crafts and things, I thought about her because she used to do a lot of the crafts with us and
Uh-huh.
the pottery and stuff like that. But do you think it was easier back then to get onto the boards and things, because Howard County has so much opportunity to build, to grow, to thrive because it was a new community?
I'm gonna tell you what I truly think. I think your actions speak for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because many of the boards that I have been privy to serve on, I was recommended by someone else that's seen my works or had an opportunity to engage with me in other venues or other opportunities where you are with other people. They listen to what you have to say and what you bring to the table. And I always believe that if you're going to do something, you want to add value to what you're doing. Like I would tell you, I have left some organizations, they were big organizations, because I don't join organizations to get a notch on my shoe. I don't join organizations to make friends. Now, if I can make friends while I'm in it, fine, but that's not my purpose for joining. I like, a lot of times I look at the mission, the goals, and what they are hoping to accomplish, and see if I can truly add value to it. So I think a lot of times people sit around and They think they all that, as my grandmother would say, in a couple of bags of chips, and thinking someone's gonna send for them. But
Yeah.
but they really are not. You got to be out in the community. You got to be doing things, and people have to see you. And if they see you at like a lot of things that we have in the county, I might go. I might just go to support. Like since the COVID-19, I haven't been able to go out because they said we had to, to do the social distancing. And I respect what it's told me. Like I was always a rule follower because my grandmother would say, if there are rules in the company or rules in the house, those what you follow. So I did try to stand. But what I would do, since I wasn't going to go out and collect food or bring food or take food, to any place, I would always look on the internet or find things that need monetary support. For example, like the food bank, when they were, trying to get giving food to everyone, I sent them a contribution. Somebody was making masks, I sent them a contribution. And those are the kind, I either, if I know of friends, I might, if they need something, I might call them to see how they're doing, and send my son, with his mask and everything, to leave something on the porch and stuff like that. And I was with our group care in my church, St. John Baptist Church, and what we had to do was call seniors in our congregation to just see how they're doing, see if they need anything, to see what the church could do to help them. So some of the things that you do because I always have felt like I'm very blessed. And when I say blessed, I'm blessed because I'm in really good health. I had a decent job. I had a wonderful, wonderful husband that died early in life, but still the time that God had him to be with me was phenomenal. I have a wonderful, wonderful son. And I think that, and I have a decent place to live. So those are the things I think your needs are met. So once your needs are met, you ought to be able to want to give, because I think it's your pay for being on this earth. Your service really is your pay for being on this earth. So the question you asked, not getting away from, and I just want to lead up to it, is that sometimes you have to be out and about doing things so people can see you. They're not going to come and knock on your door and say, hey, Mae, I want you to be on this board. No, they're not going to do that. And if somebody recommend you, you have to go through a process. You got to fill out an application. And then you got to go and talk to them. Then they got to vote on you. It's a lot of little things that they do. But one of the things I tell everybody, get involved. I mean, you just don't know. You never know who's watching. That's saying Big Brother is watching you. Well, you never know who's watching you. You never know. Just like a case in point, I was at some little, it was a gathering, and we had a topic we were all talking on. And I'll just express how I felt about the particular topic and all. But I didn't have a clue that the person was really, really impressed with what I had to say. So she sent me a call. She said, can we have a conversation over coffee? I would like to talk to you more. And I was taken back because I would just talk like everybody else. But I'm saying, you never know who's watching. You never know the impact you may have on people. And always have a smile and be friendly. Because you know what I found? People are hurting. You don't know that they're hurting. And they're not going to tell you that they're hurting. But one thing that I always remember, I'm always smiling. I wake up with a smile, go to bed with a smile. My son said, do you ever have a bad day? I said, I probably do, but I don't have sense enough to know it. But I tell you this little story, that stayed on my heart. Whenever I used to go to work, if I see somebody sitting out, on the bench, how when you go to work, people sitting out. And these two older Caucasian guys used to sit. And every morning I would come out and say, good morning, how you doing? Have a good day, da. Well, I was sick for a couple of days. Well, it wasn't a couple of days, but maybe a couple of weeks or so, and I didn't go to work. So when I finally came back, and I'm not lying, brought tears to my eyes, these guys said, we were wondering what happened to you. I want you to know we waited to see you come in, because you always come in with a bounce and have such a pleasant smile on your face, and you would make our day. But I thought that was so nice, because I never knew that I made an impact on those guys. They were just sitting there shooting the breeze, and I would skip in, good morning, have a good day, da, 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 like that. And, so people really, there are sometimes I'll be out, and I won't lie. I talk to somebody that said, well, you said exactly what I need to hear. Thank you for making my day. I could be in John. I'll be talking to someone and say, hi, how you doing, da, da, da. And they said, oh, you have such a beautiful smile. You made my day. And they would tell me their story. I never forget one day I was in the store, and this lady was trying to buy food, and she was saying, well, she didn't have enough money, and she just went on and on. I just said, well, how much is it? Here's the money. She said, well, you don't really know me. I said, I don't have to know you, but you have a need, and somebody would do the same to me. Because those are the kind of things that I try to do. I just try to be my best self. And I tell everybody, it's not for no rhyme or reason. I'm not trying to get any notches on my shoes, but being nice is easy. It's no cost to being nice.
It makes you feel good as well.
It really does. It really does.
Somebody else, it gives you a certain type of joy as well.
You're absolutely correct about that. And life, and you know what is? Life is really what you make it.
Indeed.
I would be the first person to say, I have every problem everybody else have, every ache everyone else has, but I don't internalize on it. Like, I just went back to school, not because I had a good job, paid me decent money, but it was a goal that I said I wanted to complete. I had gotten so close, and I kept, putting it all, because I was doing my community work and doing first one thing to another. Went back, graduated May 16, cum laude. And everybody said, and I had friends, why are you going back to school, man? You don't need to go back to school. Girl, you smart enough. You got enough, my da. But I wasn't going back to school once I was smart enough. I think you are never too old to learn. And my mantra, because we had to put on that page, it is never too late to follow your dreams. It's never too late to learn. It's always something new. And I'm going to tell you, when you learn and you go out, your brain, you keep your brain motivated and working, and it keeps you from having some of these, I think, dementia and different things, because as you get older, they say your brain's shrinking, all these things. But I'm just as sharp and when I say sharp, every phone number I call is in my head. I don't have a book. If I call your number a certain number of times, when I get ready to call you, I know it's in my heart, it's in my mind. So I'm blessed with that, but reasonably good health. So,
Well, let me get you stay active. And I tell people all of the time, you have to keep moving. You have to stay active. You have to stay excited about something. And going back to school for you was keeping you excited about something. So I definitely want to talk about the Leadership 2020, you guys. So definitely hold on for a second. We'll be right back with Mae Beale.
Welcome to TLO. If you know, you know. Coming soon, different sponsorships and investment opportunities for all brands, musicians, influencers to join the company and create this community and also make money from your craft. So if you want to join the movement, check out our space and see what more we have to offer. In this space, we're going to be holding our weekly modeling classes as well as our shoots.
Models, go sign up, link in the bio.
Along with that, we have a facility that can accommodate whatever you need. Here at TLO, we want to create a community and a space where all brands and all creators, influencers, musicians, talents to grow and build their business, not only with content, but also with wealth. So join the movement today and subscribe.
All right, you guys, welcome back. We have Mae Beale with us. We're talking about some fascinating things, some life lessons, some great insight. But Ms. Beale, you just went and you just finished Leadership 2020 in Howard County. What is that? It was people from all types of organizations and everything. So what was that about?
I would tell you was the best experience I've ever had. It really is. What it is, you get a group of, I say, leaders in the community together, And it's an opportunity to really find out how Howard County works. We have things called learning opportunities. We have learning sessions. We have speakers to come to talk to us about all the different kinds of activities, different health concerns, and anything imaginable. We have speakers to come to talk to us about. But one of the things that's most important, you really get to find out the workings of Howard County. We had the opportunity to go to the state capitol. We had the opportunity to see how the bills are handled, how the bills are passed. We went to Howard County government. We got this Calvin Ball, county executive Calvin Ball spoke to us, all the people in his staff people talked to us, and they told us exactly how it worked, and we could ask questions to kind of find out how they go about doing certain things. We had the opportunity to go to every agency in the Howard County government under our county executive Calvin Ball to see how they things and the impact it had on our community. We even had the opportunity to go to John Hopkins Applied Civics Lab, and that was phenomenal. We didn't know they hired so many people. Over 6,500 people work there, and they do all kinds of creative and innovative things regarding some satellites and different things. We went to the Howard Community Hospital. I had a chance to go and see how they operate and what they do and all the innovative things that they did. But one of the things, you get to network with a lot of, like you say, different people. We had people almost in every organization or board or bank in our class.
I was looking at that list. It was amazing.
And you get to know those people, but you get to know them personally. Like our class would always be together because I'm on one of the class representatives. So it would be our job to try to do creative and innovative things to keep the class together. But one important thing about that is that you have this category of people that you can go to if you need to find out about something, if you need to know something. They are all right there. And I will say this, almost every director or community leader or bank president or business owner, many of them have gone through Leadership Howard County. So it's an entity to be reckoned with. And I'm telling you, one of the things that I really appreciate, we had this learning challenge, and that was the transportation challenge, we called it. We had to actually ride the bus like the underserved people have to do, go to the different entities in Howard County. For example, we had to go to the food bank and another one of the departments that people go for services. But we had to actually catch the bus and have the underserved citizens of our county that don't have transportation. We saw how difficult that would be if we had inclement weather. We saw how if you missed the bus, you had to wait for another one.
And it's not real short. It's not every 15 minutes. Howard County Transit is one of the...
Yes. And you know what? And like, we went to the food bank, right? That was the location we chose to catch the bus there. Now, you come with bags of food, how you going to get on the bus and try to get them unless you have somebody to take you, to wait for you? It's so many things I learned about that, and how blessed I was to have a car that I could take me from place to place. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't even try to go to work or something because they don't have the transportation.
Or certain areas in Howard County don't have access to the transportation.
And the other thing too, like I had a terrible fall and I hurt my leg, and I couldn't drive for a while, still can't drive as far as I used to. I could afford to catch Uber. You see what I'm saying? Everybody can afford to catch Uber because it's not the cheapest. It's not the least expensive form of transportation if you have to depend on it every day or depend on it to go to faraway places. So that taught me how another reason how blessed I am. You know, you have transportation, you can go around the corner, get your food or wherever you need to go. And that was phenomenal. But it was so many other kinds of things like that we got a chance to actually see and live in color. And we could see how the underserved really, it's a challenge for them, I would think.
Indeed. And so the mission of the Leadership 2020 is to bring all of these people together from different organizations who can then see some of the challenges and then perhaps come up with a game plan to address these challenges.
Well, what they do after they there, they get an opportunity to serve on various boards that they're interested in to kind of help make a difference within the county. They even have the opportunity to work with Leadership Howard County to help recruit and bring other people to take advantage of that particular entity. It just and it opened up so many doors too as well. Yeah. But it's a group of people that are committed, dedicated to trying, again, my mantra, to make a great county better by going out to the community and see what it is. It opened up our eyes to so many opportunities that we wouldn't have known about had we not gone through the program. And in addition to that, we feel more comfortable serving on boards because they have boards, opportunity to serve on boards, opportunity to be involved in different venues and to do so many wonderful things because we've had the opportunity to learn, and we can sit down and say, what can we do, having had this wonderful experience, to add value to our community and the boards and organizations that we choose to serve on.
Indeed. So I want to address one more area before we have to go, and that is the area of race relations, because I know Howard County, as I'm always told, is kind of a unique perspective or demographics, and also some people say we live in a bubble. So you guys, stay with us. We'll be right back after these brief commercial breaks.
I can't lie to you. And like we take the good with the bad.
Creating and having a discernment to figure out who's right and who's not.
Well, it's not a perfect system. To this day, you'll still find out that people will tell you that they like the project, and really it's about their self-ambitions.
The sheriff's department may do something different. In some counties, the sheriff department is actually the police department, so they handle the calls that come out from being robbed to noise complaints, whatever you may have going on in your neighborhood. What you consider the bad stuff, right? So
the 45th president, if you haven't noticed what they've done with the athletes, they've hushed all the athletes, because why? These athletes will make these young folks think. If I'm following LeBron and LeBron says, hey, this is how we probably should move because this is going to benefit our culture and our community, guess what you think that 8 and 9-year-old going to remember as he grows up?
What LeBron says.
Of course.
guys, welcome back. I am still with Mae Beale, thankfully. I appreciate this time that you've been spending with me today. But because you are in this unique position of leadership on various boards throughout Howard County, and right now we're going through these protests all around the country. We even had our young adults lead one in Howard County, which went off great, may I add. So shout out to our millennials. But what is your current thoughts and feelings and opinions based on our current race tensions, especially considering that Howard County is considered a melting pot, a place where you can go to live side by side with other cultures and nationalities?
That's a tough question. And the reason why I say it is because when people have not had a chance to walk in your shoes, they don't see. They don't think like I can talk to, I'll say, another person from a different culture. And I might could say, well, this happened and that happened, or they may not, I think the problem could be, even though Columbia is quite a melting pot, and it truly is, but I still believe with all my heart, and I'm choosing my words, that race relationships can always be improved. And I'm telling you why. And these are things that people don't see, and they don't even give it a thought. There could be great workplaces, great boards and great organizations, but they could still be primarily all white. You know what I mean? I'm being serious. And I don't think because they wouldn't accept people, people of different races, but I think because of when you go back to 400 years, I think many of us are not comfortable. We're not comfortable sometimes being with the other race, or I think because we could go to an event, a big event, and I've gone to them, and some of them are really nice and all, but you may find our biggest events, all Blacks are there, like the Omegas, AKA, the different people have the things. And then I'm sure there's some things that the others have that we don't go. So I think we understand racism, but we still do a lot of things separately. We still, if you go to some banks, some places, you don't see a lot of African Americans. And I think too that somehow I'm going back to opportunities and being able to make the monies that you need to make to get you out of, your bad place. But I don't think it's all, I just don't know how to tell it. I just think that this thing with George Floyd opened up a lot of eyes. Like, the COVID-19 opened up a lot of eyes because, and I was just telling my son, and it brought tears to my eyes, a lot of those people in some of those areas, especially African-American, are like sections, if you say. You'd be surprised how many people live in one house to pay the rent. You'd be surprised how those people, they are the ones that are the trash collectors. They the ones cleaning the office building. They the ones going to the chicken factory. They the ones that are cleaning the houses. They the ones that are doing the cooking. They the ones that are collecting the trash. They the ones, and they have to go to work. And what people do not understand, and maybe because they haven't been taught that way, the really great contributions that African Americans have made to build this country, I think that goes sometimes unnoticed. And I think, look at all the conventions and innovative things that the African Americans have contributed. Do they talk about those things?
It's not
I mean,
taught. That's not
yeah,
taught though. And so yeah,
I
I
know,
think
but see, but I'm saying, but by not being taught, many of us, we don't value ourselves. Many of us don't want to be black. I never forget, I saw this study, it was a while back, and these are little children now. They had to pick these dolls. They had white dolls and they had black dolls. Every black child picked a white doll. And they were asked the question, why? They said they smarter, they prettier, they not so dark. I mean, these were things little children were saying. And that's been some years ago. I don't know if they still have that test. But we don't value ourselves, I think. I think we perm our hair. We do everything to fit in because we want to be accepted. And I've had people tell me, well, you don't act like the other black folks. And I want to try to figure why not. I'm about dog than most of them, you know what I mean? But I think people look at things that they think is what they consider their category of where they think you should fit. I know sometimes I used to get on the elevator, and when black guys would get on there, kind of burly looking, you know what I mean, big or whatever.
yeah.
These, some of the other people on there would clutch their pocketbooks. I said, why are you doing that? They just ride in the elevator, go to the next floor. So I think some of it, I don't think is realized. I think some of it, because we don't talk about it, I think really people don't realize it, that they are somewhat racist. I really don't think they really know. I think they think, oh, well, they doing okay, and they ought to be satisfied, and but I tell you, when you go to the store to buy a loaf of bread, it's gonna cost the same thing the man making $100,000 as the person that's on welfare, or whatever you call it. So I think if we could have more talks and more conversations, but not with only black folks talking to black folks, but the combined culture. Because I think what it is, people don't really understand the different cultures. They really don't, I don't think. And I don't think, and I'll be honest, I don't think all of it is intention. I think that we can do a better job too of working together and trying to do some things to help ourselves too, because like my grandmother say, if it's to be, it's up to me. And sometimes we can't always expect other people to know how we feel, to give us what we think we need. Sometimes we may have to work together collectively as a culture, as a community, and look at some of the needs, because sometimes many of us, we get these big time jobs, we move just as far away from where we come and don't dare to go back. But I think if we were to get the big jobs and go back to the community and teach and help them and be part of who they are, and they gain the trust, and you can talk to them about the need to do better or go to school, or maybe some things they can't do that we can't do and don't do is not affordable. I mean, I tell you, because when I was in school, going to school, and one of the reasons I went back later, because when I did decide to go back, they wanted me to get a student loan. I said, well, I don't want no student loan. I just didn't want one. And I said, I wait till I get a little older and I'll go back. And when I decided to go back, it was so much. I said, I'll wait till I can get a discount. And that's what I did. And it went from about $1,600 or $1,500 to like $45, because I just had to pay as I got older, just had to pay they call it lab fees or something like that. But, if I don't want to wait that late, especially a youngster, and sometimes you just don't have the money, and sometimes you get a student loan, sometimes it can drag you down so long that you can't get out of it. So I'm thinking it's a lot of things that have to be discussed and considered. You can't say it's just one thing, but I do know this now, that thing that happened to George Floyd is not the thing, it's not the first time those kind of things occur. I have a son, and every time he goes out. I said, turn there, be careful. And if the police stop you, be nice and get out the car and don't put your hand in your pocket. And I shouldn't have to tell him that, because I never forget one day I was on my way home, I was walking and I saw my son's car. It was parking with these policemen. So I said, what in the world? You know, my heart just dropped. And I got ready to go, you know, to see what's happening, because I'm his mother. They were so, you better go on where you're going. You don't need to come over here. We talking to him. And I thought that was so nasty, but I did walk because I didn't want to handcuff me and put me in the backseat of the car. But I'm saying those kind of things occur, and you just kind of ask yourself why. But I was so, I mean, I didn't stand in their way, but I did not leave there because I kept looking to see what was going to happen next, you know. But I had always told him, they stop to get out, be nice and smile a little bit, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And yeah. I remember when I was married, they stopped my husband all the time because he had a nicer car. And the first question they would ask, and I'm not lying, whose car is this? I said, it was my car. You know, where they said, oh, I was just wondering, da. But he shouldn't have been stopped because he had a nice car. He go to work every day. He should have been able to drive and not be stopped. And I know we were from Washington, D.C., and he used to go sometime to visit some of his friends. And he was telling me, he said, you know, Mom, Mae, he called me Mae. Mae, every time I go to D.C., the police stop me. You know what I told him? Well, stop going to D.C., because it's going to be one night that he's going to stop you. You're not going to feel in the mood, and they've been stopping you. You might do things you might regret. But those things occur, and I'm sure many of us could tell similar stories, you know, and what you do, it becomes a way of life. So you really don't internalize it. You just, how you say, you take a licking and keep on ticking, and you just.
Yeah, and we have no choice.
Yeah. So what do you think can happen? I mean, just give me one or two things of your feelings as a young person. See, I'm older, and older people so people from the older generation was taught different. We was taught to, you know, be quiet, don't say much, and, be grateful that you have what you have, you know, those kind of things. But as we got into it and saw, I mean, you could, many of us could tell the stories about how bright we thought we were and how well we did a job and got passed over for the promotion. I think many of us could tell that story, but but you can't fight.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially with the younger generation, they feel as though enough is enough. That's why I think this is definitely going to be a millennial movement, where they're not willing to just sweep things under the rug and say enough is enough, and they want their respect. And they don't like to do things the way that they've seen it done, because they've seen it done and it not work, and they don't want that. I also feel as though, depending on where you live and how you respond, can lead to more trouble or not. I have sons. I have 6 sons. And so that conversation is a regular conversation in my household. And my sons range the rainbow. So they go from very mulatto to very brown skin. And a lot of times when you talk to them, you have to make them realize that just because you're the high yellow child and you're the dark child, this child who's high yellow think he has a little bit more freedoms than the darker child. I'm like, no, when you're pulled over, black is black is black. It doesn't matter what color you are. So though, beyond how to respond to authority in public, we also have to have the rainbow color as far as who you are, how you fit in as an African American, and things like that. I think that these conversations do need to happen. I definitely agree with you on that. And maybe I'll do a panel with the different cultural backgrounds.
Oh, that would be, I think that would be great, because I think if we get to understand each other better, we get to have the conversations, I think that would go a long way. Because like you say, even sometimes, like you say, the lighter person might tend to get a little pass, but black is black. If they say blacks go to the left, the yellow, the dark, and all of them going to the left. So because I know by me being dark complected, when I was growing up, it was really prevalent, not only in some of the other races, but our race as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So people look at those things. So, but you know what, I will say this though, I never had any real problems. When I say real problems, because I never internalized it. What
Yeah.
it was, you see what I mean? If I'm in a situation and like you say, when people show you who they are, believe them. So if I know if I had a manager that was, you know, prejudiced, or whatever we call it, I would make certain I be there on time, do my job, you know what I mean? Make certain I did what I was instructed to do. Now I would speak up, but I would speak up nice, and I would say I have a concern, and I would say, well,
Yeah.
if you have a chance, could we meet and talk about this? I didn't just, you know, didn't attack. You know what I mean? How sometimes when we get fed up, we tend to attack, and that doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
And
Most definitely.
sometimes you have to learn how to speak up. And this is what I've learned. And I didn't always do it now, but as I got older and started seeing even our own can treat you, you got to speak up and say, enough already. And also, you don't have to say enough already. You just have to tell them what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. Now, if you want to be
Exactly.
treated with respect and manners, you got to treat me with respect and manners. If I'm going to do your work, I don't care nothing about having a lot to say, but give me credit for what I do. You know what I
Indeed.
mean? That kind of thing.
Indeed. And yeah, I think we not only have to deal with racism from outside forces, but within our own community as
Yeah,
well.
you
There's a
go.
lot of racism within ourselves and for
Yeah.
other cultures as well that a lot of people don't seem to grip or understand. So definitely.
Oh,
But unfortunately, Miss Beale, we are out of time. But I appreciate the time that you spent with me today. Any
and
last words
that's
you'd like to
key.
say?
I don't know. Oh, the last words I have to say, this has been a wonderful, wonderful interview, and thank you for having me. But what I would like to leave to our community is that we have the opportunity to, as I say, to make a great county better and make the world a better place by understanding, engaging, encouraging, and loving one another. Because love is one of I say, our greatest commandment: love thy neighbor as thyself.
Indeed, indeed. And so, you guys, thank you for tuning in to Get It Got It Good. You can always watch and follow Get It Got It Good on WBGR Network, Health and Wellness Channel specifically, on Wednesdays, 11:30 a.m. And you can also tune in on Total Entertainment Radio, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Follow us at Get It Got It Good G3 on all social media platforms. Is there any specific way that the people can follow you as well?
Well, they know they follow me on Facebook.
Under your name, right? Mae Beale.
Yeah, Mae Beale. Mae Beale. But thank you so much for your time.